Hello again, Fleet Commanders. Tiberius here, and today I want to talk to you about something that I've been talking a little bit about recently on my live streams and YouTube channel. The USS Franklin, the OG Franklin, and the problems with the Franklin, and something that Scopely could fix very easily. And that would make quality of life better for a lot of players. And this is certainly the way I feel about the issue, but I'm curious to know what you guys think about it. Um, oh, server errors. Well, that's always fun. So we just had Infinite Incursions just wrapped up, and there was an event that sort of brought this back into focus, or back into the spotlight a little bit. And that particular event, for those of you who don't remember, involved, there were two events. The offensive one involved you taking your Franklin, going to the opposing server, and killing swarms there repeatedly to complete a milestone, to get currency to use in the event store to try and purchase your Mantis blueprints or Strike Team La'an, Una, Ortegas officer shards. The second part of that was a defender event, which was using your Franklin to kill other people's Franklins. We're not going to get into that event. That was just bad, poor design, zero incentive for the opponent to stick around. Everybody just warped out and ran away. But the Franklin itself is something that I feel like we need to circle back to. It's kind of been a forgotten ship for a little bit, and it's kind of one of those weird ships. So the game is in a little bit of a weird place right now, which is Scopely doesn't want people camping at lower levels. They want them progressing through the game faster. That's part of the reason why I started my tutorial series 6 months ago. They've also sort of picked up the pace with that a little bit. The last couple of months, we've seen it in the monthly story arcs, where the holodeck missions, the side missions, and the main missions that you need to complete for your bonuses, your rewards, and things like that. And usually there's a monthly event for it that gives you pretty good prizes as well. They've been ops locked, 32, 34, 35 in some cases. And a lot of those missions, the missions themselves don't require it. You know, it's go to a warp 25 system and kill 10 hostiles that are, 100,000 strength. People a lot lower can do that. Oh, here's the gold boss now. It's 450, 600,000 strength. People below that can do that very easily. But they're trying to force people to accelerate faster, so they're putting ops locks on things. They just did a refinery update, improved the refinery payouts once you get to Ops 34. They introduced a new Bajoran faction store as part of Deep Space Nine that you can begin accumulating for once you get to Ops 35. Within the Bajoran faction store, the uncommon loot box that they put into play gives rare directives, so you can do the rare solo armadas that don't show up until you hit Ops 40. So clearly they want people to accelerate their growth faster. The problem is they think people are going to pay to do it, and not everybody is willing to make that commitment. Not everybody has the money to commit to that. So if they want people to accelerate their growth faster and not hit these walls, then they need to help us out a little bit. And I think the Franklin is the first good place to start. I don't know why it's giving me this error. So, the USS Franklin, when you get to Ops 35, you can scrap it and build the Franklin A. Now, for those of you who haven't done that yet, I'm going to give you a little sticker shock warning. I want you to make sure you pay attention to this. Scrapping the Franklin takes about a day. Building the Franklin A takes about 60 days. So if you are a free-to-play person, make sure before you hit the scrapper on this one, either you have another ship that's capable of doing your swarm dailies for you, or you have enough latinum and speed-ups available to accelerate that. You get some alliance helps and things like that. You can knock it down a few days, but be prepared. Somewhere in that 55 to 60 day range is what you're going to need in order to build the Franklin A. The repair bill on it is also a little bit higher, but it also gives you access to a different refinery, so you'll get more titanium and things like that to offset the repair bill. But it's getting it to the point where you can scrap it, because you have to get it to tier 9, and you need it ship level to be at least level 41. And then you can scrap it 100%, get all the blueprints that you need for the Franklin A. You can scrap it sooner at tier 8 and get part of the blueprints and then buy the rest from the store. This was a big feature when the game came out. A lot of people didn't have their Franklins. They wanted the Franklin A to skip to it, so they just scrapped it for what they could and made the purchase. I don't know how many of these packs Scopely is still selling at this point in time in the game, though. I don't know that it's many, and maybe they would be willing to give up some of that $20 revenue on Franklins to make this grind a little bit easier, a little bit of a quality of life adjustment for people, especially now that we have the Mantis loop and the Bajoran Dominion hostile loop being added as well. Why not make the Franklin loop a little bit better for people? That'll also make people not quite as hesitant to move up, because missing out on your swarm dailies can hurt you in terms of completing your daily goals. And also Swarm Sunday. A lot of people like that for the resources, and more importantly for the con officer shards, especially newer players. It is one of the primary paths to source him. But when you move up to Ops 35, it makes it a lot harder for that to be completed. We'll take a quick look right here at the actual event. So let's first start with the Swarm Sunday event. When you reach Ops 35, you'll see here that, thanks to stfc.space, defeating level 32 swarms gets you 2 points. Defeating level 35 swarms is what you need to do to get your 10 points. You know, if you're in a lower tier, it's lesser points. You can kill 32s for 10 points apiece. But if you're moving up to 35 to get all these new benefits, to get to the point where you know you can get access to this Bajoran story, you can get access to more of these side missions and holodeck missions that they've been putting out for these story arcs, to participate in the content that they want you to participate in, you have to get your Franklin to 30. You have to move to Ops 35, and this is where this event's going to change for you. So, 375 points, killing level 32s, because to kill 35s, realistically, you need very close to being done with your Franklin, and having a maxed Talon can certainly, or a high-level Cath if you're using her instead, can certainly help out with that. My Franklin, for relevance here, I've got 2 components left to do. My Talon is about 6 shards shy of being maxed, though. I have done all of my research. I can kill 2 per hull. I can almost get a 3rd, but I'm just coming up a little short. If Talon was maxed, I'd probably get the 3rd or the 4th. But still, if I have to do for this Swarm Sunday event, if I have to kill 38, that's a lot of trips. It's a lot of trips back and forth. The event we just had, we'll pull this over, Offensive Ops Swarm Hunt, hunting swarm hostiles, again sort of highlighted this discrepancy a little bit. So getting 2 points apiece, what's this, 375 divided by 2 is 187.5, 188 kills. You gotta kill 188 swarms in a 24-hour period in order to complete your milestone, get these con shards, which will really help you level him up, as well as some titanium and other resources along the way. Mara too, but most people really care about the con shards. Now, we get the new event. It's got the same sort of scoring system, using a Franklin, defeat these types of swarms and things like that. But based on your ops level, your point totals are drastically different. If you were Ops 34, they don't assume that you're capable, you don't have a Franklin A yet, you're not capable of, or you're not capable of killing 35s, most likely. So they set your milestone there at 13.8 million, which if you're killing 32s, 13.8 million, 275,700 points is 51 kills. Just like doing your dailies. 51 kills in a 12-hour period. That's what you have to do for your dailies anyway, so then if you want to do the second one, you just have to do a second grind. However, if you've accelerated to Ops 35, well, now your point total quadruples to 52.8 million, because they are expecting if you're 35, well, then your Franklin should be tier 9, or you should have the Franklin A, and you should be able to get this milestone. 528 divided by 105, 5500 is the same thing, 50.02, so you have to kill 51 things. But because of the costs associated with that, which we're going to look at in just a second here, a lot of people who get the 35, they don't have a Tier 9 Franklin. And they certainly don't have a Franklin A yet because they're waiting to get the Franklin all the way to the top to scrap it for free to build the new one. So for those players, they had to kill 32s. Whoops, 52. It's essentially going to be 4 times, but 2, 7, 5, 7, 0, 0. 192. Those people had to kill 192 level 32 swarms in a 12-hour period to complete one of their milestones, or one of the dailies to get the coins for the incursion store. And then 12 hours later, they had to do it again. It's nearly 400 kills that they had to do just killing swarms during the middle of an incursion event. It's kind of ridiculous. It's kind of ridiculous. And you're asking yourself, well, why couldn't they just level up their Franklin faster? And that's because of the costs. I have all the research done. I'm getting the full 60% reduction. These final weapons, all 3 of them, cost 1.5 million frequency modulators apiece. And the rest of this stuff over here costs about 2 million combined. So you're talking about 6.5 million frequency modulators to finish Tier 8. From my dailies, the 3 missions, I get just over 60,000 frequency modulators. And from the kills, I get about another 25,000. Which would mean, where'd I put the calculator away? I'm just going to have to do it again. If I need 6.5 million frequency modulators, and I get about 85,000 a day, 76 days, 2.5 months of doing my daily swarm is what it takes to finish this tier so I can scrap my Franklin for free. That's a really long time for an upgrade on a specialty one-trick pony ship. And again, this is with the research. They have the research that gives you a reduction. So let's look at the costs, and let's take a look here. Getting your Franklin from Tier 1 to Tier 6 isn't that bad. And Tier 6 is where you start, Tier 5 is where the Franklin starts to turn the corner and will start to be better than some of your lower level ships like your Voklas or your North Star in terms of being able to kill stuff. And getting to Tier 5 here isn't terrible, 750,000. And then when you go up to Tier 6, it's about another 1.2 million or so. And now you're up to about Tier 6. Now you're capable of putting out some damage. Now you're up to, Ops level 30 here, or ship level 30, where you're getting an additional 12,000 bonus, plus whatever the research bonuses and things that you're getting as well. But it's the tiers after that that just get to be a bit ridiculous. From 6 to 7 is 2.5 million. From 7 to 8 is 5.25 million. And then from 8 to 9 is 10.4 million. Now those are the base costs, but that's about 18 million frequency modulators in total. There is research. It's this frequency modulator cost efficiency. It's in the Starship tree now because they moved it. At level 27, you can currently max this out, and that will reduce the cost by 60%. So that's going to get this total of, about 18.1 million. It's going to get it down a little bit for you, but not a tremendous amount. You're still looking at over 13 million frequency modulators to go for the last 3 tiers, if I did that math right. Quarter of a reduction. About 4.5 million. Yeah, somewhere in that ballpark. 13 and change. All right. So here's my proposal. And I hope Scopely, or this gets to their attention, and I hope they take this into serious consideration. Because this is an easy fix in the game that will make players' quality of life a whole lot better. And the same thing should be said for the Devore as well, but that one doesn't have as easy of a fix because it doesn't have everything built right into the game already. like I said, this frequency modulator efficiency caps out at level 5. At ops level 27 is where you can get this. Add 2 more levels to it. Add a 6th level at ops 30. That makes this from a 60% bonus to a 75% bonus. And then at ops 33, you put a 7th level in here that changes it from a 75% bonus to a 100% bonus, giving everybody a full 100% reduction. That'll make those last 2 tiers go from 18.1 million down to about 9 million, which is a little bit more manageable. Now, for 3 full tiers of the Franklin, you're doing it a lot faster. And since they want you to accelerate your gameplay and move up ops levels quickly, they need to help you bring the Franklin along with it. Like I said at the beginning, I don't know how many of these Franklin packs they're still selling. For reference for what I'm talking about, let's see if it's still in the store right now. So sometimes they have these up for sale. Let's see if we can find it. It's usually pretty far over. Not currently available for sale. But from time to time, they'll have a pack for 20 bucks. So if you have your Franklin at tier 8, you can scrap it. You can pay the 20 bucks to get the rest of the blueprints for it. Let's go back to the Franklin here. So if you come down here and you look at the scrapping at level 35, you can't scrap it till level 35 anyway. Well, here, let's look at this in game real quick too. So you've got your shipyard. Let's go look at your explorers. The USS Franklin A requires 200 blueprints to build. Those blueprints come from your resource refinery. You get these Franklin Advanced Data Cores, which you then convert into these. It's a 1-to-1 exchange. 1 data core equals 1 blueprint. So we were talking about at tier 7, level 35, you can scrap it and you get 50 data cores. That's a quarter of what your Franklin needs to be complete. At 36, it goes up to 150. That's 3/4 of a Franklin. This is what most people do. They get it, or what most people who don't want to do the grind and are willing to spend the 20 bucks would do. They'd get it here to tier 7. They'd cash it out. I'm sorry, they'd start tier 8. They'd finish tier 7 up, advance the ship. They'd level it up 1 level here, and they'd cash it out without doing any of those last tier 8 components. And they'd take this 150, it's 3/4 of the ship. They'd buy the other 50 for 20 bucks, and they'd be like, I'm done with it. But to get the Franklin completely for free, you have to push it all the way to level 41. That'll give you the full 200. Scrapping time, you can see, is just about a day and a half. That'll get reduced down a little bit, obviously, depending on the level of your scrapyard and any other scrapping research you've done. So you can get it down to about a day, and then helps from your alliance. You can't speed it up any further than that because of just where the nature of scrapping is. There are no speed ups for that. But it is this final tier that is just so drastically bad. 10.5 million is the base cost. Like I said, 6.5 million if you have all the research done. And if that could be reduced further, and it's not a huge jump here. It's not like I'm asking Scopely just to give us this final tier. You still have to do some work. 10.4 million goes down to 6.5 million. If you do the research the way I outlined it and pushed it to 100% reduction, it goes from 10.4 to 5.2. It's saving you about 1 million frequency modulators by doing that, which, going back to the math, doing the dailies, I think it's 1.1 million. $1.1 million. And like I said, just by doing your 3 dailies and the killing the 32s that you have to get, you get about 85,000 a day. 13 days. They're saving you 2 weeks. And I think it's a nice gesture. Now that's saving you 2 weeks on the final tier. For people who are still tier 7, you're going to save them another couple of days there as well, another week or so on that end of things. So you could be reducing the total grind time down this by up to a month, depending on exactly where they put the ops levels. And I think that's a change they should consider. It's built into the game already. It's not like it should take a tremendous amount of programming to add these additional levels to this existing research. It does require uncommon and rare gas, so you're taking a little bit of materials out of the economy as well as dilithium. So there's a little bit of a trade-off still. It's not like we're just giving it away for free. There's still materials, there's still things the player's going to have to do to invest. You're just making it just a little bit easier for everybody, kind of, alleviating a pain point, which is grinding swarms is just not fun. That's the reason why when you're doing your swarm dailies, your Franklin A completes them 3 times faster. You get 3 times the credit for every kill when using the Franklin A. So that way you don't have to kill 50 things. You have to kill 17 things. And with all the other loops they've added, like I mentioned before, the Mantis and now the Dominion hostiles, and I'm sure there'll be more coming in the future, why not take the time and make this one a little bit better for players? There's my pitch. Leave some notes in the comments below. Share this video with your server discords and things like that. Try and get this out to as many people as we can. Maybe somebody from Scopely's paying attention. I know there are developers and things like that who play the game. Maybe one of them will happen to catch this video and be like, that's actually a really easy fix. I think we could actually do that, and it would be a pretty a low-hanging fruit that would actually win a lot of brownie points with the players, making this little time crunch a little bit better for players, help them grow a little bit faster, help them spend a little more time outside the game. Thank you guys very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. See you around the galaxy.